The people, the headlines, the issues impacting you, all on This Week in Cincinnati on 9 on Your Side.
Welcome back, everyone. This afternoon, we are talking with Hamilton County Clerk of Courts and Democratic candidate for Ohio's 1st Congressional District, Aftab Pureval. Thanks so much for being with us. One of your big issues is the tax cut. You say that tax cut passed by Congress gives way too much to the rich and to businesses, and not enough to the middle class. So how do you, if you're elected, intend to rebalance that?
Well, listen, the sad fact is that folks in the middle class and the working class in our community haven't had a real raise in 2 decades when compared with inflation. For the past 2 decades, the rich in our country continue to get rich. The wage disparity is just out of control. The middle class is running in place while the richest 1% continue to get wealthier and wealthier. And Steve Chabot, he's been in Congress for over 2 decades. He's had an opportunity to fix this issue, to address it in any way. But instead, he's voted against middle class and working class families over and over again. And this tax bill is a great example of it. Here are the facts. Once it's fully implemented, 92 million American families' taxes, they'll actually go up. 85% of the benefit goes to the richest 1% in our country. And oh, by the way, it blows a nearly $2 trillion hole in the deficit. And they've told us to fill that hole, they're coming after Social Security and Medicare. Again, asking the middle class to pay for a tax break for billionaires and millionaires, that's just unfair. That's not political or partisan. It's just wrong. So
an issue you feature on your website is healthcare specifically. And you say it's the right of all people, regardless of income. Nobody wants to suffer because of a lack of access to healthcare. But what would your plan look like to pay for that?
Yeah, we have to bring people together for common sense bipartisan reforms with the Affordable Care Act. I'll be the first to admit it has its flaws. For families, premiums have gone up nearly $3,000. For individuals, it's nearly $1,000. And for drug prices, those are going through the roof. We have to come together and make sure we have a common sense solution to that. Steve Chabot, though, again, he's had his opportunity. 22 years in Congress, and his votes have actually hurt people. He's voted several times to strip health care away from 35,000 people in our district. He's voted repeatedly to strip coverage for those with pre-existing conditions like breast cancer and asthma and diabetes. That affects 305,000 people in our district. He's not only wrong on these issues, his votes are actually hurting people. That's why Republicans and Democrats, no matter where I am in the district, they're all eager for change. They're eager for not another career politician who looks at every issue from the perspective of how can I get reelected, but someone who's looking forward to a positive agenda of leadership.
So when we talk about healthcare, we talk about the tax cut that has occurred, and you want to rebalance this for the middle class. Is there any way to do and provide healthcare? Is there any way to do this without increasing taxes on others?
Of course, and frankly,
what is that way? Please tell me.
Well, frankly, Steve Chabot's leadership in Congress has given us a perspective of what not to do. I mean, in his time in Congress, he talks about deficits all the time. He talks about paying for these things. In his time in Congress, the deficit has gone up $5 trillion. I mean, just in this past term, his votes have led to the deficit ballooning by $2 trillion. I mean, if that doesn't tell you we need new leadership, I don't know what will. Okay, so you're bringing up you still have not answered that last question about how we pay for healthcare, how we give the middle class a tax cut without raising taxes. How do we bring down the national debt? It is exploding. You're absolutely correct. Right. Is there a way to do it? Yes. Without raising taxes? Of course. So let's take healthcare, for example. We need to use the federal government's buying power to negotiate drug prices with drug companies to drive down those costs and drive down those premiums. We can do that. There's a reason why the same drug in Canada costs half the price. It's because their leaders are not bought and paid for by big drug companies. Steve Chabot, over his tenure in Congress, has taken $5 million from special interests. In this recent tax bill, he's given them $30 billion to date. So he takes money from special interests and he gives them even more money back. That career politician, status quo politics in D.C. is toxic and it's broken. So you're saying that we have to just reform how we elect entirely, or how we provide money to politicians? I think campaign finance reform absolutely has to be on the table, because special interests have corrupted our form of government. Whether you're talking about health care, whether you're talking about the economy, The consistent thread through all of that is the corrupting influence of special interest money, which is why I'm proud to tell you, Tanya, that I haven't taken a dime from corporate PACs, and I won't take it, because when I'm elected to Congress, the people of the 1st District will be confident that I'm representing their interests and not the interests of big-pocketed special interests.
You have gotten a lot of money recently. We'll talk about that in just a minute, and we're going to wrap up our conversation with Aftab Pureval right after this.
The people, the headlines, the issues impacting you, all on This Week in Cincinnati on 9 on your side.